Damn, son. Damn, son. That was pretty hot. That was pretty hot. Not gonna lie. Definitely, I missed that comment from Jay Heinrich. It's been a while, though. It's been a very long time. It's been like a couple months, actually, since Jay Heinrich and Phantom Freak have been in the same stream here. So it's really overdue. It's really overdue. Oh, man. There you go. Okay, so yeah, excellent tune. So I think overall the sound design, or at least the sound selection and sound design, the combination of both, was a little bit better than your other tracks. I guess maybe it wasn't so much sound design. You said you do use a decent amount of samples as well as synths, a lot of serum. And the selection was a bit better here as far as how they blend together in a bass house, G house tune. I think that is what I'm trying to say here. So definitely like the sound design and the arrangement of it. A few small things. A 39 section here. It just felt a little dry. I think there could have been more background elements in there, maybe some sort of like Foley pad or something. I know you hear some tracks that, in this style, professional tracks that, don't have a lot of elements either, and maybe sections that are similar to this right here. But, I mean, it gets me filled out a little bit. I mean, you had the little bleeps in the black, the boo-doo-boo. I think it filled out a little bit more. I think maybe just some more depth in the vocals. I think maybe that's it. Maybe just some reverb on the vocals to fill out the space a little bit more. Nothing complex as far as, well, nothing in your face or up front, I would say. Not like a lead sound or anything like that. Just something to fill out the back. You just need to you need fillers. Fillers, really. That's just the initial impression that I got from listening to that. What else? Okay, so a few bigger things. The metallic bass that you had in here. So I really like the what sound. I like that. I like the distorted lead sound. I thought that worked really well with the metallic bass as well as the grumbly bass. That was worked really well. I think the grumbly bass could have been a little bit less stereo spread. I feel like it was just so stereo spread, it ruined some of the definition a little bit. I think it could be definitely stereo spread, wider than other elements, but maybe not so much, I think. Yeah, and I think it could have been a little bit cleaner. Try EQing the low mid frequencies in the sides of the stereo field only. Try that out, see if that works. Maybe reduce the stereo spreading just a little bit. I still think it would sound good wide, just maybe not as much. So just a small tweak there. A lot of this stuff comes down to personal preference. When I listen to it, it's just what I'm hearing. I mean, there are plenty of different mixing styles and tracks and how people mix certain elements in their track. And when I hear it, I just hear it. It could potentially be better some other way. So it's just something to try out, not something that's, oh, this is too wide for sure. You're fucking up. Not like that. That's just try it out. What else? Okay, so the metallic. Okay, I think the arrangement of some of the complex dro-ish elements in the track here, in the drop. I think that some of them could have improved a little bit. The arrangement of them, the patterns that you have, specifically this sound. I mean, it's not like it didn't flow with it. It just felt like there could have been a more enticing pattern, something that rhythmically and tonally felt better. I also think the note choice for that sound, I'm not sure if it was like the root note or if like that sound is not quite in tune. It's not like it's out of tune. I just feel like it could use a different note and a little bit of a different pattern to it. That's just my opinion. Also, I think you could have tightened up the patterns a little bit as far as making it more consistent in the track. When you do the recall and response, you have an A section, a B section, an A section, B section, and a C section, or A, B, A, C. I think you could have done, I guess, a little bit more repetition with your patterns as well to make it more coherent, I would say. I would say maybe, yeah, that way the listener can understand the patterns a bit more and expect a little bit more, what's to come instead of it being radically different. I would have to really listen to it to really get the patterns down exactly and give more suggestions on what specifically the patterns could be. But I think overall it was a little too confusing. Not a whole lot, just a little. And I think just making some a little more consistent would work here. But overall, pretty solid track here. I just think it needs some fine tuning. And one other thing. No, that was it. No, that was it. That was all I had for the track. So hopefully that feedback helps. Very specialized feedback there. Hopefully that made sense what I said. I feel like sometimes I just give feedback, sometimes I just go off this weird direction that no one understands what I'm saying, and then you guys are just like, just go on to the next track. Okay, what else? Okay, the reference track. We'll go over the reference track real quick. We'll just skim through it, give further feedback. Again, send in a reference track with your original track so we can listen to that as well. Here we go.
This is nothing for the radio. This is nothing for the not for not for not for
Okay, so if you listen to his elements in here, the elements that and like I think some of the vocals in there, how they have stereo imaging and they give that kind of width, but they're not super wide, right? So I think that you can model the stereo imaging of some of your elements based off of this. And also if you listen to the energy levels in the sides of the stereo field, specifically for your basses, they won't be as loud. They're not as loud in this track, in this reference track. So that's something to pay attention to. A good thing that I would like to do is solo the sides of my reference track, solo the sides of my track that I'm working on, and listen to the energy levels that are coming from there. Just how much of specific frequency ranges are there. That's what I'm trying to say. Just something to note. And then that little that like really sliding, like grooving bass line is really mono in the stereo field, so that really highlights the elements that are going in the stereo field but that aren't going way too wide in the stereo field. Yeah, and again, EQing, I think my comments on EQing the low mid frequencies of the sides of some of your basses, specifically the growly one, will help clean up the mix here. Side note, you can check out the Angels interview on SoundShock Audio of this artist, of this track that you just heard. That's on Prescription Records. Go on over to soundshocaudio.com, go to interviews, click the interviews. Wait for it to load. And then go down to the second page here. And then go down to the third page here. And then click the Angels interview. Guys, didn't expect that, did you? Didn't expect that. Put the link in the chat here. Okay, so yeah, hopefully that feedback also helps here. Yeah, interesting artist. What do I ask him? I'm going to ask a ton of great questions that you guys can check out and you'll find helpful in here. Yeah, definitely check it out. He's kind of a dick, though. I mean, aren't all artists dicks? They're all dicks. No, that's not true. Yeah, some can be. Some have huge egos. Why did he get mad at you? Did you like play one of his songs or something? Or were you just playing a bunch of bangers? Do you get mad at you for playing your music? That was a banger. Okay, moving on here. Who's next on our list? We got a ton of tracks, so we'll definitely try and go over them pretty quickly here, so we can get through all of them. Yeah, why was he a dick? We all want to know, Phantom Freak. We all want to know.
Yeah. All for the foot to the floor with a pedal, I'ma whip that, get it, I'm gone. Find me north of the country, miles off where I'm from. Digging up heat, trying to elevate and change what level I'm on. Stay diverse, cause most of the verses made have already been done. Intelligence back with the heat and a track for the gang. Been away but I shell that beat and I'm back with a bang. Remix lucid fam, then I'm back to Milan. Switch up quick, don't lose it, give me them facts, run a fact to the plan. And I'll make this quick, no mobile, never done Brits. They told me I'd never be nothing but the boy keep coming and cooking up hits. I chef like come at the wrist, on point like part of the script. I'm pulling up right in front with a blacked out with that solar eclipse. With that solar, with that solar eclipse. Solar. Speed, fast pacing. They wanna downgrade my placement, but they won't stop this dream I'm chasing. Cause I've been waiting, I've been far too patient. Man won't play for the payment just so they make it to the next statement. I swear I'm gonna bring it together. We get it, whatever we come and tell them it's a rave. Breaking the barriers, cutting the measuring, making the plays. Fully putting on the pressure, we pushing the limit away. Bigger and better than ever as soon as I step on the stage. So sick, no mobile, no Brits. They told me, don't slip, but I carried on cooking up hits. Cause I chef like I'm at the Ritz, on point like part of the script. I'm pulling out right in front with a blacked out whip like solar eclipse. With that solar, with that solar eclipse. With that solar, with that
Nice. Always coming with the fire, Jay Heinrich. Good to see you back in the stream. So any feedback for Jay Heinrich, go ahead and put that in the chat. What you liked about the song and what you think can be improved about the song. And let's get a music production discussion started around Eclipse Remix and all things music production related. Any questions for Jay Heinrich, go ahead and put that in the chat as well, as I'm sure he'd be happy to answer them. And he wouldn't be a dick like Angels would. Okay, so as always, killer arrangement, killer sound design, high energy, in your face, club ready, let's go. What I think can be improved about this song. Okay, so the dun 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 needs to be louder in the mix. That was my note. Or no, the da 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 needs to be louder in the mix. Got that? Let me explain what that means. Let me find the sound. Yeah, so that dun 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 dun, that little kind of trappy synth. So I felt like it was too far in the mix compared to the other elements. I think that could be like a foreground sound, and it sounded more like the middle ground, background sound. You could hear it, but especially when the bass isn't, your other supporting bass elements aren't playing, it sounds kind of thin in the mix. And I really think this is kind of the emotional theme of your drop, that dun 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 sound. So having it more in the forefront is definitely advisable here. Hopefully that made sense. What else here? The sub and the kick. Okay, the kick. It felt like it was low cut too much. The kick. It was losing. It was losing power and it was losing height in the mix. It was losing. It felt like it was a little bit in the background or the middle ground of the track. Not so much the background. It felt like it was kind of in the middle ground of the track because you took away frequencies. Too many frequencies from the kick. I would solo your kick and sub and work in more frequencies in your kick and do EQing on your sub to let that a little more of the boom come in of the kick to give more power, so it seems like it's driving the track a little bit more than it is now. You're right, 100% right about that. You mean what I talked about the kick? Is that what you're saying, or are you responding to someone else? I was not keeping up with the chat there. What else? What else? I think of one more thing. The subs, okay, the sub seems a little bit inconsistent at times as far as the energy levels, and this comes down just to the note selection for sub basses. Try a different note. Just listen to your sub pattern in solo and listen to when the energy drops. And try and change that note if you can. If you can't, try layering it a bit more. Raising the volume of it, just that specific sub note. See how that works. Distorting it a bit more to get a little more frequencies out of it and give it a little more power. That's something that you could do. Depending on the specific note and the arrangement of notes, sometimes there's nothing you could do about it. It's just that note doesn't give off a lot of sub frequencies, so it's not going to work as well as you want it to. I'm not sure where it comes in. Okay, the comment on the lead synth. Could it just be the volume? I'm not sure what you have. It's just kind of weak in the mix. It feels like it's low cut. I don't know if it needs a boost at 50 hertz. I would say even higher than that because that's kind of in the sub range. But then you could also EQ the sub a little bit to leave room for the kick. But then also, it gets hard when you start playing around with sub frequencies in both the kick and the sub at the same time. Usually, I like to remove sub frequencies in the kick if you have a sub going, especially if I have a long sub note going like you have here. So I definitely like to low cut. So it might just be a volume problem that makes it sound weak. You'll have to mess with it, but it is a little bit difficult when you're messing with sub frequencies in the kick and the sub frequencies being like the 20 to like 80 hertz range. That's really where the power of subs come from. Usually I guess more in like the 70, 60 hertz range. I guess that's more where the sub really rings out. So you'll have to, it really comes down to EQing with this. Really getting the EQs to mesh well. Okay, and now the reference track. Let's check it out. But overall, killer tune. So any other feedback, go ahead and put that in the chat what you liked and what you think can be improved about the song. And don't forget, guys, we do have the free giveaway of the orchestral companion Strings by SonyVox. 40 concurrent viewers in this live stream, and we will give this bad boy away. We've given away two. We've given away the orchestral companion brass and the orchestral companion something. I forgot what it was. Definitely killer plugins. Yours for free if we get 40 concurrent viewers in here. So invite your friends. Let them know of the awesome feedback that they can get and the awesome plugin that they could win. Where is it? Jay Heinrich reference track. Boom, boom. You got two, huh? You got two reference tracks. You'll just gloss over these, glaze over. I don't think that's a. Oh, I know this song. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, but there were big mistakes, bro. There were big mistakes. Okay.
Jesse Owens, all I need is swag on the track and then it gets me going. Doing this shit, improving this shit like I'm Buddhist and shit, like I'm moving the brick. It's the newest edition, the truest religions, a crew full of killers who keep precision. I'm on this shit and it flips.
I mean, I did feel like you reined in your sounds a little bit more than you usually do in your tracks here, Jay Heinrich. I feel like they weren't quite all over the place. I mean, not all over the place. They just... It's a cleaner mix. It was a cleaner mix, I felt like, than some of your other tracks. I really think that's what it was. That's what I noticed. So yeah, good job. As far as feedback based off of the reference tracks, I mean, they're kind of a lot different, these tracks, but... I mean, it's a pretty good mix, I gotta say. It's a pretty good mix. It really just the synths kind of, the synths in the background really take away from the track a little bit. I feel like they're not giving the full effect of the track. So I guess if yours feels a little bit empty, I guess that's what I'm trying to say, just because of the synth not being more in the foreground, I would say. Okay, moving on here. Moving on up in the world. We're moving on up in the world. We're moving on up in the world. And Bradley is up in the world.
I'm way ahead of you cowards, be looking back like damn I lost them. What's the goat to a chupacabra? I'm a fucking monster. If I wanted to, I'd take the game by his neck and I'll wring it just like a rag when it's wet. See you sleeping on the kid, but it's okay, she probably dreaming of me. But I'm dreaming about cheese, it's like counting sheep just to put me to sleep, just to put me at ease, to make my life a breeze, to put some green up inside of a leaf, roll it up in our chief. And I'm thinking about my next step. I'm thinking about applying pressure to these fools next. And I'm thinking about getting a check and putting the bullshit to rest and putting the anger off my chest and clearing my thoughts because my mind's a mess. But then you get that fire in your soul. Well, like hush, I'ma let it burn. Yeah, see, it's what I deserve, and I'm about to take the game. Fuck them all, it's my turn, and I'm a beast. And if you think it for a second, you gon' catch me slipping. I guarantee that you might leave this altercation limping. I'm trying to tell the world I'm focused, bro. It's like I bought a brand new rifle to hunt bigger bucks with a better scope. You gon' suffocate if you want all the smoke. Got them drowning in my drip and they don't wanna float. So if you wanna visit me, then you might need a boat. Because my wave go coast to coast, now watch me flow, you know. 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 You ever get that feeling when you come back? Getting money, buying everything you never had. But now you back up on your feet, now everybody's mad. We standing on the pedestal, watching them all spaz. We about to make a play. And now they all up in my way. And now we moving like we running in a race. You'll be left behind. We about to make a play.
bringing the glitch hop there. I am Fox Near Far Official. Thank you so much for sending on in the tune. Any feedback for I Am Fox, go ahead and put that in the chat, what you liked, what you think could be improved about this song. So, what I think about this song, definitely love the originalness of the track, always coming up with fresh new tunes. I Am Fox, so it's always good to hear your tunes when you send them on in. I would say it's genre mainly for anime parties. I've never had an anime party, so I wouldn't really know what music is being played at an anime party. Yes, definitely the drums. That's the first thing I want to talk about as far as what I think be improved about the song. I think it was mainly the kick. The kick seems like kind of like an afterthought in this. I think maybe in some other types of genres, the kick can be kind of weak in the mix. But for electronic, like hybrid type-ish song, hip-hop song, I would say that the kick needs to be more to the front. Definitely you can have that like kind of pillowy kick that has the muted high frequencies, but it needs to have more of an impact in the track. The sub had an impact, but the kick didn't. That needs to come through in the mix more to drive the track and really give the emotional theme of the track give the emotional theme of the track a bit more. You know, when you think of drums, you don't really think of emotion. When you think of, you think of a melody, chord progressions, harmonies as emotion for your track. But drums really provide the emotional intent that you have for your song as well. So think of that, think of your drums and how they affect the emotion that you're giving the listener as well. Would I recommend compression? I would recommend just boosting it in volume. It seems like maybe decreasing the volume of the sub as well. It just seems a little bit drowned out. You could compress the sub and the kick together to glue them together to make them sound a bit more consistent with each other. That works well. But just having them even more present in the mix. So I would solo your kick and sub and just work that way. Let me think here. That's really it's really something tough to deal with. I feel like I went over this before about how to deal with low end stuff. I'm thinking. I'm not lost here. I mean, I am lost, but I'm not checking out. Like okay, I can go over this real quickly. So as far as, let's go full screen. So as far as your low frequencies, here's how I handle managing low frequencies, and it really comes down to using a reference track. When you're mixing your sub and kick, that's usually what, when you're mixing low frequencies. Sometimes you have mid basses that also have sub frequencies and stuff, but mostly this is talking about mixing your sub and your kick. What I'll do is I will put a high cut filter on a reference track, a track that is in the same style or genre that I'm using, and I'll high cut it around 300 or so hertz. I'll listen very closely to the energy levels that are coming from my monitors. Close your eyes and listen to how loud it is. Just listen to how much impact it's making on your ears. Really focus on that feeling. And then I'll take my track and bring that to the same level, about the same level as the reference track, because you want to have them comparable levels, or else you're going to mix inconsistently here. You're going to make mixing decisions that aren't correct. So it's important to have the same volume or similar volumes of the reference track and the track that you're working on. Then I'll do the same thing. I'll put a high cut on around 300 hertz, and I'll listen to the energy levels that are coming from my track. And then I'll match these energy levels that I heard in my reference track in the actual track that I'm working on. Now, how do you match those energy levels? It's very simple. Volume is the number one. Volume is number one here. It's so surprising how matching volumes or having correct volumes in your track for your sub and kick, how much of an impact they have. Simple volume setting, gain staging. EQing as well. If, let's say, you add in the volumes, they sound comparable, but now it's muddy. I need to do some EQing. So it's important to know what sound you want to have in the sub frequencies and what sound you want to have above the sub frequencies. So oftentimes, especially with a track like this, you'll want your sub to carry the sub frequencies, of course, here. You could have a sub, of course, that doesn't have, you cut out kind of the 70 hertz range and have it be more of a mid bass, but you call it a sub because of the tone and how it's playing in the mix, as far as there's other bass sounds on top of that. But most often you'll have a kick that's on top of the sub. The reason being is if you have a kick that really all its power and weight is in the sub frequency area, 20 hertz to around 80 hertz, and your sub is, of course, a sub and playing in those frequencies as well, you can't really have two sounds that exist in the same space. That's what I think a lot of producers get confused with. You can't have overlapping frequencies, not to say that every single sound has to be exactly in their own space, but if they're carrying their weight and power and their main elements and you want them to shine through in your mix, the foreground of your song, you can't have two elements that are overlapping at the same frequency range, or else it's going to be muddy. So something has to give. So usually I like to have my kick in front, or not in front, have it low cut. I'll cut out some of the low frequencies. I might use a low cut filter. I might use a notch EQ. It depends on the kick, the frequencies it gives, and how it sounds in the mix. Sometimes a notch EQ just taking out some of the sub frequencies is not enough. Sometimes I need to put a low cut on it. Then you don't want to low cut it too much where the kick sounds weak now. It's really a fine balance in between the two. So that's something important to note. So if you have, a track like a hard style track, the kick will carry a lot of the sub. So you'll have your other bass, or let's say your mid basses, or the one that's acting like a sub, not have those 80 hertz frequencies because the hard style kick is playing often and the decay of that sub, of that kick, is pretty long. So it's acting kind of like a more consistent bass line rather than just a quick kick. So again, it comes down to the style. It comes down to what sound you want to have, either the kick or the sub, playing the actual sub information, frequencies, and how you gel them together, and to where it sounds impactful. That's really what you want to look for in your track. Again, using a reference track and gelling these together with volumes and EQing. Compression can now also definitely work, but that's not going to clean up your mix as well as just the EQ and volume. That really is the bread and butter of fixing your low end, I would say. Okay, hopefully that made some sense and I just didn't blurb on forever. But yeah, that's really what I think this track needs. That really is it, because the kick and the sub, especially for hip hop tracks, it really drives the song, and your melodies are good, and it'll help those shine through a bit better as well, getting that low end fixed a little bit. So yeah, really simple fix to make the track a lot better. I feel like nothing fancy dancy about that. Theo's Gift, are we in this? Are we in here? Are we in the stream right now? Let me know and we can go over your song. Give me a holla. Give me a holla balla. Okay, sweet. Let's go over your song. Awesome, Theo's Gift. Thanks for sending on in the Doom remake here. Throwing it back with the old school video game theme of Doom. Any feedback for Theo's Gift, go ahead and put that in the chat. What you liked, what you think could be improved about this song, and any music production questions you have for Theo, go ahead and put those in the chat as well. So yeah, I love the throwback. Really cool video, really new, fresh take on the video, old video game here. So what I think can be improved about the song is it was definitely muddy. I definitely think it could have been, focus more on EQing. I have just the tutorial for you to check out on EQing that I know will help you out here on how to EQ a muddy mix. I'll go ahead and put that in the chat right here. Definitely check that out. Watch the video, put it into practice, and I'm sure you'll see improvements in this track. Also, Jay Heinrich mentioned that the drums were a little bit out of time. Definitely at times they were out of time. So definitely go back to your track, listen to how the drums flow, and fix those. I'm not sure if you used a sample, whether you programmed yourself. The out of time was intentional, but it did feel a little bit out of place, and I think it could be fixed to improve the track. Also, I think that there were a few effects, the glitch effects specifically, the gated effects were a bit too loud in the mix compared to the overall volume of the track. They just threw off the balance of the mix, so when you put in that gator effect, that was just too loud, so I just reduced the volume of that as well. Another thing, the track seemed a bit stagnant as far as the progression of the track. There was a lot of repeating elements and not so much progression. I would think more about arranging the track out in a way that gives more progression to the song, bringing in elements, taking away elements, having different patterns for the elements in your track. It just seems a little bit stagnant in the arrangement, so I'd work on that as well. Again, changing around patterns, changing around the arrangement of these patterns, placing them so they're more, I guess, dramatic. Taking them away, bringing them back in, that's really how you create that drama, I would say. So hopefully that feedback helps there, Theo's Gift, and thank you so much for sending on in the track. And again, any questions for Theo's Gift, go ahead and put that in the chat. Any questions at all? Okay. What else we got here? Stay sick. Are you in the stream right now? We can go over your track. If you are, let me know. Let me know. Let me know. Thank you for sending on in the track Old Push. To appreciate it. Good to see you on in here for the first time. We have a few new faces in here, I believe. Photonics. Good to see you on in here. TY Loopy 123. Good to see you on in here as well. All right. JZAE. Good to see you on in here as well. Sweet. Stay sick. We can go over your tracks. Let's do it.
One more time.
Nice, Stay Sick. Loving it, man. Loving that dubstep, like melodic mix there. Always works so well. So, any feedback for Stay Sick? Go and put that in the chat. What you like to think be improved about this song. So, definitely think this section right here. I'll just get right into the feedback for what I think can be improved, because we do have a lot of tracks in the queue. So, I want to make sure I get through everyone. So, I'm just going to go over the tracks and then give the feedback of what I think can be improved here. So, this section 218 here. The way you set it up, you have this other build-up. It felt a little underwhelming, this section here, because you had it built up. I felt more of a super saw type drop there would have worked really well. You really toned it down with the synths that you had. I think having the super saws be more in the front, the saw wave synths be more in the front to really let the progression ring through a bit more, so the listener can be a little more emotionally attached to that section would be best. Just the way you set it up, going from the big drop, then you had another hyped up build up. I think, yeah, this could be a little higher energy with the synths here. What else? What else? I think you could have had some more drum fills in the track to break up the drop a little bit. Just give a listener a quick break from it and make the sounds, the hard-hitting sounds that you already have in there, hit even harder. You know, when they're constantly playing. I know you have some tom fills in there. I think even bigger tom fills, drum loops, or drum fills could work here. Again, you know, you take away sounds and bring them back. They're more impactful. What else? I also think since you have a melodic section, you know, I know in certain breaks you bring back in the vocal in the drop here, but I think you could also bring in the chords as well. So like in that section, you could bring in the chords, have them filtered, dun, 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 and then also have the drum fill. Just something to play around with, something to give a little more interest to the track. I think that's what would help it here. So just some small tips here that I think could help improve the track. Really a festival-ready tune already. So thank you for sending on in the track there. Stay Sick. Good to see you on in here for the first time. Hopefully I'll see you back in future live streams. Alrighty. Next up, we have Wrong Type TV. Are we in the stream right now? We can go over your track if you are. Give us a holla. Give us a holla. I believe you are still in the stream here. I believe we got an orchestral track coming here. Just my guess. Just my guess here. Holla faux dollar. Faux dollar. Faux dollar. Wrong Type TV again. Are you in the stream here? I can see you're still in here. Yeah. Okay, sweet. Let's do it. Nice. Loving it, loving it, loving it. Super cinematic. Definitely felt like I was in a Halo stream right now. It's like in a Halo video game or some type of epic movie. Any feedback for Wrong Type TV here? Go and put that in the chat what you liked, what you think could be improved about the song. So it definitely took me through a black hole there. Went through a black hole and survived. That's what I felt like when I was listening to this song. I was getting closer to the black hole, getting closer, closer, closer. We're in the black hole. We're gonna die. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh, we came out of the black hole and we're alive. There you go. That's the emotional arc of your song there. So that's exactly what you want to feel, I feel like. What I think we improved of the song, I think the big cinematic break here that you had, I think it could have been more impactful, and I think you could have made it more impactful with cymbal crashes. That adds a lot of energy and power to a track, really any track, whether it's orchestral or an electronic, like dubstep track. So I think adding in some sort of like cymbals, some sort of like reverse cymbal here as well, something to give some high frequencies to signal to the listener that something big is coming. You know, I know you have some sort of like kind of this build up. You have like the sweeper effect going there. I think, you know, some sort of cymbal as reverse cymbal, and then the cymbal coming in and playing throughout this drop. It doesn't have to be very prominent in the mix, can be a little bit more in the background of the mix. There's something to give more impact to the mix. That really, I felt like it didn't quite hit the level of impactfulness that I wanted it to going into the black hole. When you go into a black hole, that's a pretty crazy experience. I've never personally been into one, but I'm pretty sure it is a pretty crazy experience. And you want the listener to feel that, to really feel the impact of just how scary, terrifying, and deadly that is. And I think cymbals will help you get there. Other than that, I really don't have a lot of feedback. I mean, it depends what you're using this for. Like the length, I would say is good. I don't know if it needs to be shorter, if it's for like a movie or something that you're doing. It could need to be longer, so I guess I can't really comment on the length. I guess the drums. I feel like the drums. I feel like you could have had maybe more percussion in there to spice it up as well. So not just the cymbals, other percussion. You just had the big, doom, 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 doom. I think, yeah, a little more percussion in there. Make it a little more complex could work as well. Could add more atmosphere as well to the track. Add in some space sounds. Like, very faint in the background, doesn't have to really dominate the mix. Yeah, add in some Foley, add in some, just people walking on the moon or something like that, Foley. That would work really well. Can be prominent in the mix, could not. Just give more texture to the track, because the overall theme of your track, the notes that you have laid down, the arrangement is good. I think just filling out with the excitement a little bit more here with the percussion and the cymbals, and a little more atmosphere just to make it more complex and more rich, I think would help. All right. So hopefully that helps there. Wrong Type TV. Excellent tune. Always good to hear orchestral tracks in the stream. Don't hear orchestral tracks in the stream quite too often, so always good to hear. Next up, we got Zach D. Zach D with Stay Calm. Are you in the stream? Jay-Z. Oh my god, I cannot pronounce that. Jay-Z. I don't even know how to pronounce the letters. J-Z-A-E. Are you in the stream? I think you are. Yes, you are. Sweet. We can go over your track right now. Got a link here, so here we go. Here we go. Play. 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 It doesn't want to play. Does not want to play. There we go. right, nice, Zach D. Thank you so much for sending on in the chill hip hop tune there. I really appreciate it. JZAE. Okay, so what I think could be improved about the song. So, I did like the vibe that it had. I would think it needs more variation in the track. I know you're waiting for like a rapper or someone to sing on top of this. So there's definitely need some empty space in your track for this. But as far as it just needs more variation. So what I think could be improved here is just the arrangement and how affecting the arrangement with adding effects to your instruments throughout the arrangements. What I mean by that is maybe you could like high cut certain elements in certain sections, like the break section where you had the little bell-ish melody come in. You could high cut your hi-hats that were playing. That could also help highlight the melody. After every 4 bars, after every 2 bars, you could add some sort of like reverb effect, delay effect on the like guitar sound. Could also work on the sound design and thickening up the sounds a little bit more, making it more complex. Like the guitar could add another layer of a distorted guitar, copy the guitar sound you have right now, add some sort of distortion on it, EQ it a little bit, blend it in with the sound that you have to thicken up the mix. Again, adding in some more type of effects, can add in some sort of like telephone EQ effect on certain sounds that works really well. Maybe for like a bar or so, every 4 bars, every 8 bars, when you're transitioning from a chorus to a verse. So telephone EQ effect being you cut the low frequencies, cut the high frequencies, and then do 2 boosts. That way it kind of looks like a little hump. That's a sort of telephone EQ effect. That'll be in the more mid-range frequencies. That gives some interesting effect. Can try that on different elements. Can try it on the entire mix. Just something to spice up the mix. Really work the automation, delays, reverbs in the transitions. Could add in drum fills. Could add in different drum patterns. The drum patterns were a bit stagnant. Really just changing around the patterns would really help here to give more interest, not just with the effects, the EQing, the delay, and the reverb that you put on in, but the actual patterns. So that's something to think about there. Arranging is hard for you. Well, I have the tutorial for you. Song arrangement. Watch the tutorial and your problems will be solved. It'll take some work, of course, but this technique I go over in this tutorial that I just put in the chat will definitely help you out. So check it out and follow the tutorial, and I think you will like the results. Again, it may be a little bit of a time-consuming process to implement this arrangement technique, but I know for a fact that it will help you improve your arrangement. No problem, JZAE. I'm happy to help out here. So thanks again for sending on in your track. Really cool to hear a chill hip-hop tune that is all the rave these days, those chill hip-hop tunes, and I am a fan. And thank you, Old Push, for the follow here. Really do appreciate it. As well as Avenged at 13. You guys are awesome. Let's get on to the new tracks coming up here. And that is Old Push. You are up next, I believe. That was the follow, actually. You will be up soon. Actually, you're second in the queue here, Old Push. We have... Oh my god, I cannot pronounce that. What? NYTLYF Music. Nightlife. Nightlife Music. There we go. That took me a minute to get. Nightlife Music, are you in the stream? Let us know. Let us know, bro. Whoa, I need to get that little emoji here. The Tarfu. I'm just gonna let me just hit that up real quick. Boom. Oh, whoops. Where's the Tarfu? Where is that? Where is that? Why don't I see it? Why don't I see it? No. Wait, can I? Wait, maybe just. There we go. Oh, wait, there we go. There, I didn't put a space in between them. I'm a noob, guys. I'm a noob. Sorry. Okay, Nightlife Music. You're in here. Boom. Let me just go ahead and just blast these Tarfus first. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, here we go. Hidden Eye, where are you in the queue? You are after Old Push. It's the third. All right, let's get it. Let's get it. All right, nice, nice, nice. Loving it, loving the journey that we were on there. Really powerful and lush breaks, definitely. So, any feedback for Nightlife, go and put that in the chat. What you think could be improved about the song and what you liked about the song. Go ahead and throw that on in the chat. So we're going to hop right into the feedback here. What I think can be improved is the arrangements a little bit. The drop that you had right here was the exact same as the first one. You need to spice it up a bit, add in more drums, like crash or rides, starting off with this drop. Something more energetic in this drop, another layered synth in there, just to signal to the listener that this is the last drop and it is the most impactful and important and powerful and taking you home to the end of this track. Again, something to signal to the listener that this is the finale. I did not get that as it was the same as the first drop here. Also, the kick sounded a little bit weird in this track. I feel like overall you were missing some low-mid frequencies in the song. And the kick felt like strained in a weird way. I'm not sure what sort of processing EQing you did to the kick, but it feels like it's just. I think I feel it's missing like mid-range frequencies. I feel like you took a notch EQ to it and just dipped out a bunch of frequencies, and there's a hole in the kick a little bit. So definitely check with that and see if you can have it come through a bit better in the kick area and whatever range it's playing in, like the 80 hertz to 150 hertz, where the power of the kick is. The hard style kick you had here, it felt like kind of a background element. So your drop has a normal kick and it's like a progressive house drop. So I think having a complete hard style kick here ringing out would be too overpowering for this section. Well, not overpowering for this section, but overpowering for this main section, your drop here. But it is too faint in the background. I think making the hard style kick here more impactful. That's what I'm trying to say. Bring it up in volume a bit more to really carry the weight and power of a kick, but not too overpowering where it makes this section sound weak. What else? That's really it. Missing low mid frequencies. I think overall, you have a lot of mid frequencies, you have a lot of high frequencies. I think maybe adding a bass layer as well as messing with the kick to give it a more full frequencyed sound. Give me a bass layer. What I mean by low mid frequencies is the 150 to like 400, 300 hertz range. I think another layer in there needs to be put in there to really give more power in the mix. That layer is what gives the power to the mix. The mid frequencies, mid high and high frequencies, more the mid high and the high frequencies are what give that clarity and detail to your song. But the power really comes from the sub and the low mid frequencies here. So something to think about. Hopefully that helps. Again, this feedback stream is to help you guys with your music productions, and as long as I can help you think about your song in a different way, you don't necessarily have to take the feedback that I say and exactly apply it, but as long as it helps you think about your song in a different way and gives you new avenues to explore and just something to help you research more, help you practice in a different way, help you try, experiment in a different way, then I think I've done my job here. So, here we go. I'm J Music 97. Thank you so much for the follow. Do appreciate it. Old Push, you are up. You are up. right, nice. Loving the tune, man. Really cool, chill, hip-hop, trap, hybrid song there. Got some energy, got some chillness, got some sophistication in there. Really cool little tune there. So any feedback for our friend Old Push here, go ahead and put that in the chat. I would say what I think can be improved about the song, I felt like, what did I feel like? I don't know why. All of a sudden, I just really needed to stretch. That's what that was. I felt like It needed like a main hook in the song. So you had all these really cool little melodies, chord progressions, brass instruments coming in and out, but I think that like key sound is kind of like your main lead melody here. I just feel like I needed to get more emotionally attached to the song by a simple melody over top of the song that really shined through. I think that's what I was feeling with the song. Yeah, and I think that doom, 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 I think that could have been more present in the mix. That specific melody could have been played more throughout the song. Also, I think the mixing, I think that's one thing that could really be improved with this to help your ideas shine through a bit more. You have all these really cool melodies and little cool little sounds in there that work well together harmonically, and the timbre of the sounds work well together, but I think they could be more impactful in the mix to help drive home the emotional theme of your song a bit more. I think that's also what had to do with it, and I think the mixing is holding it back a little bit. I think the track is a little bit muddy. I'm going to go ahead and put that mixing tutorial in here again, as well as I think the gain staging could also be improved. I think there also could have been a bigger sub in the mix. The low end was lacking a little bit. So I think there could have been a sub. I think the muddy mix could have been a little bit less muddy to give more space to the individual instruments and have them pop out in the mix a bit more so the listener can hear them more clearly. Also, I think the gain staging also could have been a little bit improved. I think that's really where it starts first, is the gain staging. So I'll also put a gain staging tutorial. You want to put that in the chat as well. So definitely recommend checking out these two tutorials, following the two tutorials, implementing them in your songs, and adding a sub to this song as well. So I mean, the tutorials can be applied, to any song that you're working on, really. But for this specific song, I think the sub can be bigger in this. So hopefully that feedback helps there. A few little things for you to check out and peruse and see if you can fit them into your style, into your toolbox to use at a later date in time, or go back and change around that song here. Hidanai, you are up next. right, Hit and I. Loving it, man. High energy tune. Love the progression you have in the song. Love the vocal chops as well. So any feedback for Hit and I, go ahead and put that in the chat. What you think could be improved about the song. Let's get a music production discussion around this track and all things music production related. Okay, so what I think can be improved about the song, the mix. The mix is definitely needs to be improved here. Specifically, what about the mix? It's just muddy. When this comes in, it's very muddy. You have a lot of mid-range frequencies that are colliding and creating a lot of mud and creating other elements, causing other elements to be not as defined and impactful in the mix. So I'm going to go ahead and put that tutorial back in here as well, how to EQ a muddy mix. I'll go ahead and put that in the chat again. Definitely check it out. I really think this will help improve your productions, this tutorial. I think just applying this to the track would really help. Also, the layering of the synths that you have in the drop as well, I think also contributes to the muddiness. This, of course, comes down to EQing, but I also think they can be improved. And I have another tutorial where I go over to how to create a feature-based synth, and the techniques that I use, not necessarily the style of the synth, can be used to help here as well. So check out this YouTube tutorial that I just put in there as well. It's how to make a feature-based synth. But again, the layering techniques are very important here and can be applied really to any synth that you're trying to create. So definitely check that out. Other than that, a great tune. I would say the arrangement could have been shortened a bit. 5 minutes is kind of long. I think this section here could have been, the whole drop you had here could have been shortened. It's giving a lot to the listener right in the beginning of the song, right in the first drop. You want the listener to keep wanting more. And I think having a shorter section here will entice the listener to keep going on and listening. Yeah, so hopefully that feedback helps there. Okay, next up we have Avenged. Avenged with Evanescence. Alright, Dark Matters. Thanks for sending on in the tune there. Avenged 13, thank you so much. Do appreciate it. Any feedback for Avenged 13, go ahead and put that in the chat. What you liked, we think could be improved about the song. Any music production and tips that you have, go ahead and put those in there as well for Dark Matters, Avenged 13. Or any questions for Avenged 13, go ahead and put that in the chat as well. So, I like the vocals that you had there. I like the Evanescence vocals in there. I would say overall the track felt a bit too busy, and the ideas that you had in there were not fully fleshed out, and there were too many ideas. So it was a little bit confusing in the track. I would stick more to a main theme of your song and roll with that. It sounded like there were a bunch of different songs in this one song, and it was hard to quite understand what you're trying to say in your song because of all these ideas clashing with each other. So I would say pick a main theme for your song, pick a main melody, pick a main vocal hook, stick with that, build your song around that instead of having a ton of different ideas. That's really where I think this track could be improved here. That really just comes down to getting used to getting one main theme and working around that. Tips for doing that is have the sound that you like the most and build around that. So it could be the vocal, it could be a certain vocal phrase. Build off that. It could be your chord progression. Build slowly up off of that. Build the elements up off of that, and make sure they sound consistent with each other. Make sure you don't have conflicting ideas. How you would tell that is really just by knowing if you can sing back a specific melody or vocal line in the song after listening to it. So play it for someone. If they can hum the melody back to themselves, they can hum the vocal line back to themselves. They can sing the vocal line back to themselves. Then you have something that has a main theme, that has a hook. This track didn't really have a hook, so I'd say that's one way that you could tell if your track has a main theme. So something to think about there, Avenged 13. But really a creative song there. So that's actually going to do it for this week's live stream, guys. I do appreciate all you coming on in. We have run out of time, though. I really do apologize for everyone who sent in their track and did not get it heard. I really appreciate you guys sending in the tunes. We had a bunch of new faces in the stream today. I want to thank you all for coming on in. Angelo Munoz, Avenged 13, Commander Root, LMJ, Music 97, MIDI Crew, Photonics, V&K, Virgo Pros, Waperine, Wrong Type TV. You guys are awesome. Again, a lot of returning faces, a lot of returning faces as well. So hopefully, you guys can walk away with this stream with at least one tip that you can use in your productions. And if you want to listen to the stream, again, you heard some feedback that you didn't quite remember. I'm going to go back to the chat. This video will be up on Twitch for 2 weeks or so, and I also put these streams up on the SoundShock Audio YouTube channel. You guys should definitely check out. I put a bunch of videos that have the SoundShock Audio YouTube channel there. So just hit the subscribe button, and you'll get notified every time I put in I upload new videos. Yeah, no problem, Avenged 13. Happy to help. I do want to leave you guys with one thing that I wanted to mention earlier in the live stream here. We're going to go full screen for this. We go full screen for the most important topics that I think that all producers should know, or just tips and tricks that I want to highlight here. And again, I did not go over this. I thought of this like the second track that I reviewed of this stream, but didn't come back to it. The topic of this, again, before I let you guys go, the topic of this full screen is ear training. Ear training is everything in music production. It doesn't matter how good of a masterer you are at mastering tracks. If you don't know what sounds good together, if you can't create musical passages that sound pleasing and are compelling, and if you can't match specific sounds, basses, synths, pads, pianos, drums, effects, any sound in your mix, if you can't match them to sound well together, to gel together, then music production is going to be very difficult for you because your tracks are never going to sound professional. Ear training is probably the most important skill that you need to learn. Tell you a quick story. I went to music production school at Pure Mind about 6 or so years ago. And I went to music production school about 6 years or so ago at Pure Mind. And I was with a very I was friends with a really talented producer, Jameson Thieves. He still produces a lot right now. Some of you guys may know him. I definitely look him up if you do not know him. And when we started music production school, technically I knew a lot more than him. I knew more like mixing techniques, more different like sound design techniques. But he was a better producer than I was because he was great at arranging out tracks and picking sounds that worked really well together. And he's a much better producer than I am. He knows a lot more than me now, but it really comes down to ear training and knowing what sounds good together. So how do you work on ear training? Well, of course, listening to music, listening to professional music, actively listening to the songs. But what you guys could do, this is a little bit of a time-consuming process, but will absolutely help you with your ear training. Listen to a song and write down all the main elements. Write down all the main elements and write down the characteristics of the main element. Is that lead sound have a lot of reverb on it? Is it very spacey? Is it delayed out? Is it very sharp, distorted? Write down the sonic characteristics of each sound. Then review that list of the main elements in the song and their descriptions, their sonic characteristics, and see how those blend together visually. That will help you understand what elements go well together. If you don't know how to mix very well, but you know how to mix different elements together well, your song is going to sound kind of decent, even if it isn't mixed. If you don't know how to put sounds together well, but you know how to mix very well, it's not going to sound that good. So that's something I want to leave with you guys. Ear training. Write down sonic characteristics of main elements in tracks that you like in the genre that you're working in that are professional. Review the list and replicate that in your own song. That will help you find elements that work well together in the mix and help you create a professional song and help you work on your ear training. There's just something to think about. Hopefully that made sense there, guys. And again, I want to thank you all for joining. I really, really do appreciate it. If you need to get in contact with me, you can always message me at daniel@soundshocaudio.com. Message me on any of the SoundShock social media. I'd be happy to talk with you guys. Anything music production related, you just want to say hi, you have questions about the SoundShock Audio website, really anything at all, feel free to message me there.